What's up YouTube, Matthew here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 6 common objections that you may get from sellers and how to handle them, how to respond to those common objections that you get from motivated sellers or just sellers in general in your wholesaling real estate business. Now, before we go on, you all be sure to like and subscribe. A lot of you all watch my videos but are not subscribed, so make sure you click that subscribe button down below and follow me on Instagram at BizMatthew. Now, this video is actually in response to an article I read online from PropStream. PropStream sometimes release different news articles or blogs, and they had these different objections and different ways that you can handle them. And so I'm kind of going to go over how they handled it and what they said and what I would do differently, or if I agree with some of the responses that they have to these common seller objections. So if you all are interested in this article, I'll link it down below. And also I use PropStream to find these motivated sellers to talk with. If you all are interested in PropStream, check the link down below. With my link, you get 7 free day trial. It just helps support this channel. All right, so the first objection that this article talks about is when a seller says they're going to list with an agent. A lot of times when you meet sellers or you talk with them over the phone, they may think that you're more of an agent instead of an investor. And sometimes they say, hey, you know, I think I'm going to go more the traditional route and list with a realtor, a real estate agent. And this is the response that this article talks about how you should respond to that. They say a great way to handle this objection is to hear them out, then show them a few cost breakdowns for similar properties in their area. You can use PropStream to get accurate market value or even use after repair value. Chances are their property isn't going to sell for as much as they thought. So you can show them your proposal, including a simple breakdown of their expected profits to help illustrate the value of your offer. So here they're just saying, hey, you know, break it down to them, break down the numbers to them if they say they want to go the traditional route, because if their property do need a little bit of work, it's probably not going to sell as much as they think. So with that information, you should just break down, hey, your property is not going to sell since it needs this update or that repair. This is going to cost you money on the back end when you sell this property. And also you have to consider closing costs and different things like that. I think that is a great way to answer that question. I think a lot of times when we as wholesalers get this objection, this question, like, you know, about like real estate agents, usually it's wholesalers bringing that up. So a lot of times I say, hey, have you considered listing with an agent, right? Sometimes I bring that up before they bring it up to me, because I want to be sure that they are motivated to sell off market specifically. So if someone wants to go that route, I kind of let them go that route. But if I know that the property needs work and that they're in a position to sell for cash, that's when I will do more of this route of just showing, hey, you know, it's not going to sell as much as you think. You know, we handle all closing costs, all fees and different things like that. You know, and you have to pay your agent, you have to pay closing costs. And at the end of the day, you may not get as much as you think, right? But a lot of times what I do, I just bring it up. Hey, have you considered selling to an agent? And even if they're in a position to sell in an agent and their property does not need a lot of work, I usually say, hey, you should put this on the market. You'll probably get more money than going with me. I'm an investor. I'm trying to make a return on my investment. And if they want to go forward with me, let's go. But if not, I understand that. So the next objection that this article talks about is when you're talking with a tired landlord and they eventually say, I think it's easier just to keep it and just rent it out. And in this article, they talk about how you should respond to that. They say an effective way to overcome this objection is to focus on the loss of control that comes with renting out their property. In fact, landlords have all the responsibility and none of the enjoyment of a home, given the fact that they are still liable for the mortgage, taxes, utilities, regardless of whether the unit is occupied. So right here, they're just basically saying, hey, just let them know, hey, you're not in control in this moment, and this property is giving you a lot of pain, a lot of burden. Like, it's not ideal for you at the moment. Like, you're tired of it. Like, you need to move on. It's causing you a lot of stress. And that's something I do agree that you can kind of bring up in a smooth way. You could say, hey, you know, you own this property for this many years. Your tenant is not paying. They're behind on rent. I could just take on that burden for you. You can just sell the property as is. I'll take care of evicting the tenant and dealing with all the hassle. And all you do is just collect your cash and move on. How does that sound? So I try to create that picture of letting a burden off of their shoulder and just giving it to me. And I think that's key when a landlord or a tired landlord brings up that objection. So the third objection that this article talks about is when the seller says, well, I already got this offer from this investor. You know, basically they're playing game with you, like seeing if you can beat their offer. And the way this article talks about this objection is that the way you can bring it up is just let them know, hey, this offer, is it written down on a purchase and sales agreement? You know, have you signed anything? Like, this other investor is just talking to you. At the end of the day, they may renegotiate with you on a lower price. But if you come to that seller with market data, you know, different numbers that you can get from PropStream, if you're interested, link down below, you can bring that to them. For me, the way I deal with that objection is I'm just super real with them. I'm like, okay, well, that's a great offer. Why haven't you gone with that? You know, and I think this article just tries to debate with the seller. And I think a lot of times that's not the right avenue to go with a motivated seller who brings up these objections. I think sometimes you just need to agree with what the person is saying and just say your point of view. So if I'm with the seller and they say, yeah, well, I got a high offer from another investor, I just ask them, well, why haven't you gotten it yet? Why haven't you gone with that yet? And we're here talking, right? And then I just break it down and say, hey, they don't have anything written down for you. I'm right here. I'm ready to go. I showed you that I'm here, I'm present, and I'm serious. Like, if I say a number, I'm going to stick with that number all the way through, not try to renegotiate with you later or different things like that. And I just let it be whether they go with me or not. All right, so the fourth objection is similar to the last objection, and it's when the seller says your offer isn't high enough. And here in this article, they basically say that to help them realize the value of your offer, use PropStream to pull up a few comparable homes in the area along with their final sale price. So what I like to do is just ask them questions. It's like, okay, well, how did you come about this number? What houses around here are similar in this condition that needs updates and works? How much did it sell for? And it's as is current condition. You think this property is worth this amount? You know, I just ask them the question and let them answer it, right? And so if they answer it or if they try to lie or something, I just let them know, hey, you know, for most investors, this property is worth around this amount. You know, we had to put this amount of dollars into updating the kitchen and bathrooms. And I let them know, hey, if you can get an offer around that price or list it with its updates needed, go ahead and do that. Do what's best for you and your family. But yeah, you can also use data and show them, hey, this property in similar conditions sold for this amount because it needs work, you know, because of this and that. And yeah, you can do different things like that, show them the data. All right, so the fifth objection is when the seller is not completely aware of their condition of their property and they say, well, it just needs some paint, maybe a carpet or two, and then you go in there, the floors are dipping, the ceiling is leaking, it smells so bad, it's never been updated. And what you can do when a seller says that, you can just show them pictures of discounted properties that were sold around that area, right? Like, okay, obviously this property sold for this amount because it needs this amount of work. And sometimes you can find even on like Zillow or Redfin, different properties that needs work that's sold around your area. You know, one thing is that, you know, asking questions does a lot. And as you all kind of heard from my responses to these objections, asking the seller questions put things into perspective, right? What you could do is say, so how much do you think it would cost to do this in the kitchen, right? And make it like where it shows that you're an expertise in that field. They're just making up an answer. And so they're aware of where they went wrong type of thing. So like they'll say, oh, I don't know exactly, or they'll make up a random number. And you could just kindly correct them, say, no, you know, I bought this around this area, I already have this house and it's cost like this amount of money and different things like that. So I think that's one way to respond to that objection. All right, so the sixth and final objection that this article talked about is when the sellers say, well, why should I trust you? Or they ask something about your age or how young you are or something like that. Like, why should I go with you? I hardly even know you. You don't have an established company that I can find on Google. Why should I go with you? And here the article just talks about this is an excellent opportunity to showcase your experience and expertise. Use data, but make sure to end every point by illustrating how your knowledge can help them. Focus on their needs. You can ensure that they not only understand your role, but trust that you will deal with them honestly and with integrity. So basically show your experience, show your expertise and what you can do. You know, I think one thing that I heard from a podcast before was that, especially if you're young and you say, you know, you sound super young. And one thing that you can respond with is saying, yeah, I'm a little bit younger, but you don't have to specifically say your age. You can say, well, yeah, I do sound young. Will that stop us from doing business together? Or have anyone in the past that was young screwed you over before in this business, right? So you quickly answer the question, but you quickly take back control of the conversation by asking them a question right again. Like, yeah, I know I sound young. Is that going to stop us from doing business? You know, something like that. Trust, yeah. I mean, I've done deals around the area. I work with partners and investors who bought and sold properties, rehab them. We hold them as rentals, and that's what we do around the area. What more do you need? Or will that stop us from doing business? You know, something like that. Like, quickly answer that question in a effective way, but put a question right back to them, or put the focus back on the property or their motivation to selling, right? And that's a good way to handle that question. All right, you all, hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.